Hey everybody, welcome back to One Man's Perspective. We are going to go over the World Cup Day 11, which was yesterday, because we did not have an opportunity to get into it yesterday, so my apologies. But Day 11 was crazy, had some great games. We'll just get straight into it here right now, and we'll go and talk about the first game of the day, there was two that played simultaneously, but we'll just go into Tunisia, France. France, obviously, they're already through to the group stage or to the knockout stage of round of 16. So, Didier Deschamps, who I personally, think is incredibly overrated and just don't really understand how he's still coach of France. Regardless, he decided to rotate his squad heavily, 9 changes to the starting 11, and essentially they lost the game 1-0 to a very good Tunisia team that should have won that game by a significantly larger margin, in my opinion. The goal for Deschamps obviously was to rest as many players as possible, Mbappe being one of them, since he's carrying an injury to his ankle. However, he had to bring on the big guns, including Mbappe, in the latter half of the game to try and save the game. Tunisia, they are the first African nation to leave the tournament, and sad to say, they played well. I mean, honestly, if it was not for a poor game against Australia, they would have gone through to the round of 16. And they'll probably be kicking themselves in the butt for that performance because it was a poor performance in that one game. That said, they had a very creditable draw with Denmark and then a win over France. So, I mean, essentially leaving the tournament on a high, 4 points out of a possible 9, could have been more. Again, missed opportunities there for them. France obviously move on, but for them, what this shows Deschamps is that despite people claiming, including Karim Benzema before the tournament, that France had the best squad on paper, their second-tier team is nowhere near the first-team level. I mean, not even close. They all drastically underperformed in this game. And that, I think, leaves Didier Deschamps with a little bit of a conundrum as to where he goes when they might be chasing a game, should that happen in the upcoming knockout stages. That said, Tunisia, credit to you all. Again, what I will say about the African teams throughout this tournament, and I've been incredibly impressed with, is just that continuous fight to the very end, regardless, which is something I could say a whole lot more than some of the European teams, some of the powerhouses, that went into this tournament as potential favorites or in my opinion, higher ranked teams than they should be. I'm looking at you, Belgium. That said, credit to Tunisia and France. You have some thinking to do come the next round. We will go into the game after that, which was, or I guess, same time, but the next game we're going to talk about is Australia-Denmark. A lot of people had, including myself, had Denmark as a potential dark horse going into this tournament based off of the performances at Euro 2020. However, wow, are they one of the most disappointing teams in this group stage? I mean, period. They finished bottom of the group. Australia beat them yesterday 1-0 to advance as runners-up in that group. I don't even know what to say. I feel bad for Christian Eriksen, who I have a lot of respect for, both what he's dealt with off the pitch and on, to be able to come back and be the beating heart of this team, for lack of a better term, and no pun intended. But just the team as a whole severely disappointed, truly just never really got going in the group stage and deservedly went out. Australia, on the other hand, the Socceroos, move on. Credit to them. Again, credit to them. Like the African nations, Asian nations in this tournament have, again, shown their heart, shown their passion, shown their willingness to go the extra mile and continuously push until the very end, and they deserve this win against Denmark. So Australia, credit to you. You all are moving on to the round of 16, and unfortunately, as we will talk about the games later in the day, you will now be facing Argentina. So good luck to you all in that one. Let's get into the later kickoffs from the games yesterday. We had Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina, Poland. As I just alluded to, let's just talk about Argentina real quick. Literally their best performance of the tournament by far, hands down. There's no question. They dominated this game from beginning to end. If it wasn't for Wojciech Szczesny, who was superb in the Polish goal, this would have been a rout. but he denied Messi a penalty. Had, I believe, 9 saves in the first half alone. He was coming up on Tim Howard's record of 15 from the 2000, I believe, 10 World Cup, maybe 2014 World Cup. Single game record by Tim Howard. But yeah, if it wasn't for him, this game would have been out of sight. Messi had a good game, missed the penalty, but in reality, his teammates bailed him out, and essentially they survived. So what I would say about this is, as the picture shows here, Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez, 2 players from River Plate, who have moved on to Europe now. Phenomenal game by both of them. Alexis McAllister scoring the first goal right after halftime. Credit to him as well. He's having a very good tournament. And Julian Alvarez with a phenomenal second goal. So what I would say is, I mean, Poland didn't offer anything in this entire game. I mean, they were, I don't really know what their game plan was. I guess they were playing for a draw, but either way, they were poor, very poor throughout this entire game. And move on as runners-up, in my opinion, very undeservedly. If it was my opinion, strictly based on performances throughout this group stage, for this group particularly, I would have put Saudi Arabia as runners-up. Their performances merited them moving on. Unfortunately for them, they actually finished bottom of the group, but we'll get back into that game momentarily, the game with Mexico. That said, Messi's teammates totally bailed him out. I think he's having a decent tournament, not anything spectacular, but I think his team is finally stepping up, and I think that is going to be beneficial for Argentina in the long run and in this tournament, because it has for so long been just relying upon Messi. And so I think with a good supporting cast around him, that he will have an opportunity to potentially lift this World Cup. You never know. They go into this next round facing Australia, who I believe they should beat. But again, with Australia, you never know. They surprised many, and in this group, and finished runners up to France. So that said, Messi and Argentina survive, totally and utterly dominant game, and move on to the round of 16. In the other game, there's some interesting parts here. While Messi and Argentina were 2-0 up against Poland, at the time, at the very end of this game, Mexico was up 2-0 against Saudi Arabia, and at that point were going out of the tournament solely on fair play points, meaning they had accumulated more yellow cards than Poland. And that is essentially how Poland would have moved on had it not been for this very late Saudi Arabia goal, which changed the trajectory of Mexico's exit to the point where they lost on goal difference instead. Either way, heartbreak for Mexican fans. And sadly, we have 2 of the 4 CONCACAF qualified teams already left. Canada and Mexico. US has moved on. Costa Rica was today. We'll talk about that in our next video. But yeah, I mean, Mexico, I think you had a very good game in the game against Saudi Arabia. I think you underperformed against Argentina, and honestly, your loss against Poland was, I don't know. Mexico just was, they could have been a whole lot better. This is the first time they've exited the group stage since 1978. So this is new to them, new to this generation of Mexican fans. But Tata Martino, coach of Mexico, has already left the building, has resigned following this World Cup exit. This was already predetermined before the tournament, but he is now gone. Hopefully Mexico can bring somebody in who will re-steady the ship, because Mexico is actually a very good team, and I think we'll see them again at the 2026 World Cup. That said, this was a crazy day 11 of the World Cup, with essentially France and Australia, Argentina and Poland moving on to the round of 16. Have some interesting matches coming up in that next round. But again, everybody, just enjoy this World Cup, because it has been fun. It's been crazy. There's been upsets. There's been controversy. There's been I don't even know what to say. Just it's been essentially what a World Cup should be. and I think will be one of the last ones that we truly enjoy. Based on the fact that this format, the 32-team format, is leaving for the 2026 World Cup and moving to 48 teams. I think that's going to not be the best decision, but enjoy this one while you can, because the World Cup is crazy. I've had a great time. I know you're having a great time, and catch up with us tomorrow, and we'll go over day 12 of the World Cup, because it just ended right now. I'm going to do a video in a little while, and it is some craziness that had happened today. Yeah. So anyway, thanks everybody. We'll check up with you later on, and tune in tomorrow to our next videos. Hit the like, hit subscribe if you're enjoying what you're hearing. Leave me comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. See y'all next time. Cheers.